Good morning, everyone. The time has arrived. On behalf of MCCA, welcome to this session where education and industry collide. A group of panelists here, and I will introduce them now to you. We have Michael Rogg, who is the Dean of Career and Tech Ed for State Fair Community College. Kevin Ward, Strategic Programs Consultant for Train. Rochelle Hockett, the Technical Liaison with State Fair Community College. Lori Blaylock, on the end, Apprenticeship Director, also for State Fair Community College. And Amy Jackson with State Fair Community College's Learning Force. Welcome to the session.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you all for attending. We want to talk a little bit about our Center for Excellence. You know, and that's just a term, it gets thrown around a lot. So when we decided to establish a Center for Excellence for Advanced Manufacturing, first thing we wanted to do was come up with our common definition and our goal, our mission for the Center for Advanced Manufacturing. So what it is, it's a collaborative space with all of our key stakeholders to transform the regional economy through technical education. So that's our goal. And I could start out with a little bit of a story about the rollout of some technologies in facility management. At one time we were building a building and we wanted to come out with the newest, the latest, the VRF systems to install them in our new buildings. They'd provide better comfort and they'd provide economy over a period of time. However, when we went to bid the job, the training for those new systems hadn't taken place with the contractors that were going to be installed the building. So kind of a light went off there. We've got to push that new technology out. We've got to help push that out to the employers, to the contractors, with the assistance of engineers and software designers in the area. The second thought about our Center for Excellence is that we usually think of ourselves as two-year institutions. But really, if you've got a CTC on your campus, students are there for 2 years. They come back and finish your credit program maybe for another 2 years. And then they go to our custom training side where they can be there for another 2 or 4 years. We have some of these students 6 or 8 years. So it's a different way that we started thinking about our programming. So Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Automated, we've got credit and our non-credit programs, secondary and post-secondary training, industry apprenticeships, certificates, degrees in automation and manufacturing. So the programs focus, we list our programs: welding, precision machining, industrial technology, manufacturing technology, and then of course a big part of this is pulling some of our computer networking and security over into advanced manufacturing with the Internet of Things. Energy design, and then we're just adding our climate and energy control. So these will be the components of our Advanced Manufacturing Center for Excellence. Identifying the key stakeholders. As a collaborative space, we've got to have the right people in. So we spent quite a bit of time making sure we included all the necessary stakeholders to collaborate. So starting, whoa, yeah, you're jumping ahead. So starting back, you can see we've got a wider range. We've got both the, we tried to put some order to this where we have our employer side and our educational side. But we've included our custom training, you know, our Missouri One Start grants, those employers that come to us to training. We're really focusing on helping them with their training program. If you remember the old training program model, there was a return on investment for HR's training program. You'd identify where you're having your largest area of rework or defects, and you'd find the one best way to correct them and train the staff on them. So we want that kind of return on investment. Now, some of our employers have been a little hesitant in sharing some of that information, but we're making progress in that respect. Apprenticeships, that links our credit and our non-credit together. a lot of our students in our IEM, our industrial electrical maintenance program, are already employed. And we've really, through the Center of Excellence, changed how our employers are thinking about our students. Before we started the Center for Excellence, employers were coming and they'd all say the same thing in the spring: send me your best student, we want to hire him. Well, now we've got them changing the way they think. We're considering our employers as part of our recruiting process. That's why people come to us for jobs. So we've added a position. Rochelle will talk a little bit about that later, but where we're in community liaison is helping the employers work with us recruiting, and those employers are recruiting our students as soon as they come in the door, if not before. Pre-apprentice, we've worked with our AEL, adult education. We've incorporated some of the NC3 certifications into our AEL program. They're taking precision measuring as they're learning their math now, so that's exciting and exposes them to the trades. That's a group of people that are motivated at the right time in their lives to consider a career, so we're recruiting from that group. Of course, other two-year colleges, the four-year colleges, we've got partnerships with them. Career services, and then of course the folks that are creating the standards, the IRCs, are key members of this. Of course, business and industry representatives. We've got representatives at the plant manager level and the HR level. The plant manager level is really critical. It was kind of tough getting those folks there at first, but as soon as they saw we had something for them to learn, attendance picked up. We've had good attendance, and I think that's the key to having our successful meetings. We make a point that they never leave without learning something. So we bring some new technology, some update, something that will benefit them, every agenda. Our regional economic development folks, we've got quite a few different folks throughout our service area. We include them. We've got 2 different regional economic development plans in our service area, so we've got 2 sets of target industries. So we've made a point to offer programming that is in line with those target industries. Equipment vendors, new equipment, new technology, that's important. That's one of the things they are coming to our meetings for, plant managers and the HR folks. Equipment that makes them more productive, and safety, reducing repetitive workplace injuries have been a couple of focuses. Automation software, and of course, prototype manufacturing. So what we're doing, we push new technology, new software. We all know, or some of you worked in industry have probably experienced, you take new technology, you take it to the plant floor, that foreman's, he's concerned where she's concerned with production and meeting production goals. You put a new piece of equipment in that's going to change processes and procedures and require training, it gets rolled over to the corner. So what we're doing is we're helping those training plans with the new equipment and helping that new equipment get out there. In turn, some of the manufacturers are bringing us parts that we'll be developing process and procedures for before they purchase the equipment. So that training is linking everybody together. And we've had welding cobots at one of our previous meetings. Autobach has bought Sudex, so they're going to be, the exoskeleton folks are going to be there at our next meeting. So these are things that are interest to our employers. So the other thing we do is balance competing educational values. And if we look at these values, efficiency and excellence are both wonderful values. We strive for them both. But let's face it, if you get too far focused on efficiency, you're racing to the bottom, right? And excellence does cost money, but there's diminishing returns. So what we're trying to do is hit that balance between excellence and efficiency, and the same with our program accessibility and our prerequisites. It'd be great if everybody showed up to Electrical 1 with mastery of Algebra 1. Wouldn't that be great for the instructor? But you're going to cut a lot of students out of the program, right? So that's the balance, making sure that our prerequisites assure a student will be able to benefit, and at the same time not keep students out. Educational partnerships. Kevin, would you like to speak to
Absolutely. Thank
training
you.
our partnership?
Thank you very much. I'm going to try to make this as valuable as I can in this precious time that we have with you today, because we've got a decade invested in a program in partnership with State Fair and other institutions. Show of hands, National Coalition of Certification Centers, NC3, who's familiar? Okay, so less than half. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So Train was recruited to be the energy industry partner of the National Coalition of Certification Centers back in 2011. Like other technology companies, we have the same workforce issues that we're all experiencing. We had an earlier session today where we expounded on those, but for the sake of the session today, I want to focus in on this timeline where we started working with the Kansas Board of Regents, because at the time that's where we were aligned, and we got validation that aligned with both Missouri and Kansas. We started working with DESE shortly thereafter. We've developed programs for building not just world-class labs. By the way, I forgot to ask you at the beginning, it's hard to stop a... And when you think of that, what do you think of? HVAC. Okay. So part of what we're focused on doing is rebranding career and technical education as a primary prominent choice for all students to be exposed to. So we changed the program name from HVAC to Climate and Energy Control Technologies. We did that a decade ago, and we've been rebranding that through our labs across the country, because young people, A, don't know what HVAC stands for anymore, and B, it's no longer representative of the high-tech world that we're involved in today. So again, as we see this timeline, you see we've had the opportunity to open labs first on the Kansas side. Those became a template. We've replicated those across the country. We have about 20 of these commercial labs, one's being planned right now and will open next fall at State Fair. We then were approached by the Kansas Department of Education to help them with the Kansas Can School Redesign Initiative, which was a statewide initiative to engage more students in career pathways. And so we took what we had learned at the lab level, working with the community and technical colleges in Kansas. We developed the BTU crew, which is an energy curriculum, a PBL, WBL, project-based learning, work-based learning program that I'll be talking about here in a little bit. We brought that over to the Missouri side. DESE has approved these industry-recognized certificates, and we all know how important validation that is, both for employers. You know, when you think of Train, we don't have the slide up, but our industry needs 40,000 technicians every year for a decade nationally. Here in Missouri, we need about 800 every year for a decade. If we take the contiguous states around Missouri, it's closer to 3,500. So what do those IRCs mean to companies like Train? We know what they know. We know what they can do. The lifelong learning model that we continue to develop with a whole new funding model for continuing education focuses on the fact that there's no one and done in our industry, in the technology industry. So we continue to work across the leadership organizations. We work with the Kansas Missouri Superintendent's Leadership Forum. We've sponsored that for almost a decade. We've actually showcased the programs that we're sharing with you today in front of those superintendents. So that covers all of the people in the room. So your K-12 superintendents know about this program, okay? So again, as we think about the local, state, and national and regional organizations, so we try to work with everybody, because like Michael talked about this morning and again this right now, we have to make sure we're not just getting to the students, but all the stakeholders that influence the stakeholders that influence the students. And there's no one right group, it's all the groups. So we are thrilled to be part of the industry advisory panels of the organizations that we're partnered with. Mentioned NC3, so we were the second partner back a decade ago. Now we have 17 global industry partners that are following the same model that we're sharing with you today, and it's all around IRCs, industry recognized certificates. So you can see it covers, that looks a lot like Missouri, right? Aviation, transportation, energy, manufacturing, agriculture, So we've got a way to communicate through those business and industry partners and through our education partners, working with our K-12 organizations to let students know early what opportunities are available to them. You can see data analytics, which we're going to dive into here in a couple slides. It's a ubiquitous skill set that is an absolute requirement for the future workforce. They have to be able to utilize data and the data analytic tools that make sense of big data. So we've developed a process with pilot schools to actually use the data from school buildings. We make that available to the students in late elementary and high school, where they use the data in a project-based learning program that actually turns into a work-based learning program when they present their findings. So they make a project using the data. For example, they might say, if we did this to our lights, maybe took them from the T8 lighting to LED lighting, the BTU crew takes them through the process of how would they measure that energy savings. They make a presentation to their board. The board approves it. They watch the contractors shadow install the lighting. Same thing applies with HVAC projects. So that's what we're talking about. So they actually get to see real solutions in their building. And we're taking that, you'll see in a couple slides, we're taking that even beyond that to a virtual living learning lab where an entire community could contribute their building's data to this opportunity for the students. And again, like I said, they earn certifications through that process. So here's what it looks like. So while we started, I wanted to get that data up there. We started again with the labs. Then KSDE and DESE asked us to help build the pipeline, so we backed up and we actually, I see that change. We have a program that I mentioned, the BTU crew starts in 4th through 8th and then continues into high school. They earn the IRCs. And then we were asked actually by the universities to develop senior capstone projects for university students that are in their final semester. So we're working with engineering students, data analytics students to again use the data from their campus in a senior capstone project at that university level. So that you saw that red thread, and that's that common denominator. So it's an easy way for us to engage a wide variety of students. Even though I said it's no longer HVAC, not every student's going to be interested in climate and energy control technologies. But they're going to be interested in healthcare and manufacturing, and they're going to be interested in agriculture. All of those, if you look at those job requirements, all of them list data analytics skill sets, because every industry is impacted by big data. And we have to have that skill set be ubiquitous. So again, the BTU crew engages the students at that elementary level. They earn the certifications from NC3, and then we have the physical lab, the senior capstone projects, and the certifications that go with them. Thank you. I'll hand it off back to Amy, I think.
Okay.
I would just add that, you know, I'm in a wonderful position. I've got a really strong crew here that makes the Center for Excellence work. So we'll hand it off to each one of them to explain a little bit about their section and contribution.
All right, good morning. So my unit is actually the non-credit unit on campus, named the Learning Force. So we are the workforce development, economic development unit on campus, primarily focused on non-credit training. So we administer the Missouri One Start programs, and this is a map of our service area in the colleges region here with our campus locations. Our main campus is in Sedalia. The non-credit unit serves all of our 14 counties. The stars location are our extended campus locations where we actually have a physical space located around our region. Also within the unit, we have a small business development center, so we serve entrepreneurs and small businesses in their launch, their startup phase, really through succession planning for those small businesses and entrepreneurs. We provide the non-credit professional development, the prep, the certification prep trainings. Of course, customized training, commercial driving academy, which we're expanding out to our extended campuses, motorcycle safety training, a bus driver training, and the skill training, pathway development, and research development. I want to spend a little bit of time there and talk about that connection with partnerships such as Train and NC3. Being that lifelong learning unit on campus, we have that opportunity to really serve our student, our trainee, at any phase within their career development. So we may be that first opportunity that they have to enter the college environment. We can introduce them on a very targeted skills training program, oftentimes aligned with an industry recognized credential, and then introduce them further into a credit program and utilizing the curriculum that's available through NC3 and through Train, that we can provide credit for prior learning also to our trainees. So with the partnership with NC3, it's really been able to provide us with that opportunity to, as Michael had mentioned, attract instructors into our programs on both the credit and the non-credit side, and providing them with a clear pathway of training that they have access to through our NC3 curriculum and partnership, that they can receive that quality training, and for themselves as an instructor, they have a clear curriculum to follow, and again, aligning with that industry recognized credential, which a lot of times is very important to our industry partners. So often, as well as being the non-credit unit, we are very adaptable and very flexible. So we don't go through the curriculum committee necessarily to identify training programs that we offer to our companies and to our individual trainees. So we're able to then provide them with a training pathway, an opportunity, because we might come to the table to that company and say, we can provide any kind of training that you might possibly ever need. And they say, well, give me an example of a training and a training pathway for my maintenance workers, for example. So aligning again with this NC3 provides us with that really high quality, high level platform of training that we can bring to the table, and to customize, have the opportunity to customize it very unique to their equipment and to their processes. So just a little bit of the impact that State Fair Community College makes within the state of Missouri and within our region. We administer about $1 million of customized training annually for businesses, and that is grant paid and non-grant paid training. We are currently number 2 in the state in administering new jobs and job retention training projects. We hold about 1/3 of those projects statewide. We've really seen a lot of growth in manufacturing within our central region in the state. So again, a lot of company traction that I know a lot of us in the room work on, and company retention. We're currently number 2 with the customized training grants that are administered throughout the state, again making an impact to about 50 companies that we serve, and 10 of those are Fortune 500 companies as well, impacting about 130 individuals within our region. It was mentioned, Kevin had mentioned data analytics. That's a program that we are working on developing with our instructors. The NC3 curriculum is a great platform to start with. We're introducing Tableau as that tool to utilize to be able to really take a deep dive into that data analysis. So we're really excited about launching that program. We also have facility management training that we have, I believe, our 4th cohort of students that is through a partnership with IFMA, the International Facility Management Association. It's a nationwide, global actually, association that provides the curriculum for our facility management training. And again, embedding these NC3 trainings as a follow along to that facility management training has been very, very valuable as we're serving not just the manufacturing industry, but also education, healthcare industries. All of them have facilities, have campuses that they need to operate and maintain as well. So that's an example of really a success story that we've seen on the non-credit side, that we are expanding because we know facility management, there's a management track, and there's also a technician track. So again, partnering with folks like Train and our NC3 partners, providing that curriculum, that added follow-along for that technician, and electrical maintenance training as well. It really gives us good pathways for our companies and our individuals within our region. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Lori, and she's going to talk about apprenticeships.
Hi, I'm Lori Blaylock. I'm the apprenticeship director at State Fair Community College, and we got started in apprenticeships 5-6 years ago. We start with the pre-apprenticeship program, and anyone is eligible to come as long as they're out of high school. In our first day of pre-apprenticeship, they do the NC3 tape and rule and receive their industry recognized credential in precision measurement. The second day, we do bring your A game, and it's a soft skills lesson that's very valuable. Very valuable. It starts with alarm clock therapy and goes up through proper behavior in the workplace to help them. It's a lot of it is common knowledge, but sometimes you just need to hear it again, and how to set goals and do things to better yourself. And every time I teach it, and Rochelle teaches it with me, every time I teach it, I think of something else I can do to better myself. So it's not like it's it may start elementary, but it really builds into your skills and setting your goals. After the first 2 days, we take them over to the testing center, and they schedule a time that works best for them to do their NCRC. And that's everybody's familiar with NCRC, and everything. Okay, we won't get into that then. We have apprenticeships in industrial electrical maintenance. We have level 1 and level 2. The first one is 2 years. The second level is 2 years. We have precision machine technology. It's a 3-year program. We have welding 1, 2, and 3. Each one of those is 1 year long. Some companies want someone who can do structural welding. Some want them, level 2 is pipe welding, and level 3 is master welder. We do engineering design technology. It's 3 years. Construction management, robotics and automation. Robotics and automation, it's best if you do it along with industrial electrical maintenance, and if you do it, runs 3 years, doesn't it? Okay. Testing myself here. First line supervision, that is to help someone in industry who has worked on the line and now all of a sudden they're the supervisor of their coworkers, and it helps them to know how to handle that change. We can do it as an unregistered apprenticeship through Amy's area and through the Learning Force, and it can be a little bit shorter because it moves quicker, or it can be a 1-year program on the credit side. Facilities management, we do the IFMA certification, certified logistics technician and assistant, climate control technician, and then commercial driving is also one of our apprenticeship programs. We got started with funding from Apprenticeship USA, and then we had some money from MORAP and the ASE grant. Currently, we have the MOAMP grant with a lot of the other schools here. I see a lot of your faces. That is helping with apprenticeships. State Fair Community College got a $1.214 million grant. It was supposed to be over 4 years. We were just recently granted an extra year to meet our goals because of COVID. It does pay the first $600 of apprenticeship for each apprentice, and then it also funds our pre-apprenticeship so that it's offered free of charge. We have set our apprenticeship program up for sustainability. We have used our money to build programs, to make classrooms better, to get the technology we need, to train instructors, that type of thing. But our actual apprentices come in and their education is paid for by their company. We do give them the first $600 the first semester to help each company out, but once the grant ends, we don't want apprenticeship to stop. So we built it for sustainability rather than just using the money to pay for apprenticeships, and then when the grant ended, people would be like, well, I got it for free last time, you know, why do I have to pay now? But it's been very successful. I know our first company that did apprenticeships, right, they were skeptical. They sent, I don't know, 5 people up to Sedalia to start their apprenticeship program. They're so happy. If they could start 15 people every semester, they would. They just can't find that many people who want to work, let alone go to school. So, you know, we have a shortage of people to fill the apprenticeship programs. And, you know, they're starting their pay very high. So most of the apprentice, for them, start out making $20-some an hour with absolutely no training in that area, but they work them, and by the end of the first semester, they're tickled to death with them. And it takes 4 semesters to get through that first level 1 industrial electrical maintenance apprenticeship. I think that was you.
Right. Very good. Well, as Michael said earlier, I am the Career and Tech Ed Community Liaison. So I like to tell people I'm outreach specialist because nobody knows what a liaison really is or how to spell it. So it is a new position for State Fair. I've been in this role about 3 years, I think, going on 3 years. And I truly am really where industry and education collide. So my role is to work with our industry partners and employers, work with our students, secondary students, as well as our own students at State Fair Community College, and then out in the community, just raise awareness and visibility for the career and tech programs and our institution as a whole. So really, I had a clean canvas when I started this role. You know, the idea was to go out into schools, talk to students, talk to parents, go to college fairs, go to career fairs, all those kind of things. And I do that. But what I have found is really most beneficial for us is to get people on campus. Seems like a no-brainer, but our new building really has been magic for us. People are interested in what's new and shiny. So I've developed a lot of things. Some of these things I'm sure you guys do at Manufacturing Day. I'm sure you host those at your campuses. We did our first one this year. It was a great success. Hope to scale that next year. But I've been able to come up with some other activities that are engaging to get people on, students and community members on campus. So not going to go through all of them, but just a couple of them that have been great for us has been the Tech Exploration Experience. That's basically just career exploration. What we've done, though, I worked together with my faculty and my division chair, and we came up with a storyline. It's just a thread that takes the students through all of our business and technology programs. So we'll divide them up, welcome them to campus, divide them up, and then they go through and learn a little bit about how all those programs are integrated together, and they get to do hands-on things along the way. Like in engineering design, they sit down at a computer and they build a wheel. They design a wheel, and they print that out and they walk it down to the machine shop. And they've got it set up down there so the wheels are being machined. They get to see it, hold it, touch it, push the buttons, all the things. They learn about how the computer information systems networking, how if they want to start a business, what they need to do in terms of marketing, entrepreneurship. And so we take them through this whole storyline. Even down like automotive, they get to go put a car up on a rack and take the wheels off and stuff. So the kids absolutely love the hands-on experience. So that's been huge. We also feed them lunch while they're there and give them a campus tour. NC3, you've heard a lot about NC3. For those I didn't see a lot of hands go up. But our signing day has been huge. The past couple years, it's been virtual, but we've had great turnout. This year, we're going to bring it back on campus. So that's an opportunity to get not only the students, but the parents on campus. Another one that's been really big for us is corporate engagement. So I recognized a need when I was in the learning force. Our employers want to recruit our students. Like, they call like in May, right before graduation. They're like, I need employees. It's too late by then. So the key is helping them build relationships with our students early. And so I started inviting employers to come in and set up a table in a high traffic area, much like four-year partners do. They come in, set up in your lunchroom, talk to students as they walk through. I do that for our employers. So I bring them into our areas, whatever they're interested in, and set them up. They can bring banners, swag, whatever they want. I work with the instructors, carve out 15, 20 minutes for them to present to the students. Of course, they're always welcome to go out to our labs and just walk around. And I always tell them, just walk up to a student and ask them, what are you working on? Tell me what you're doing. What are you learning? And they start to build a relationship with the students. And so I encourage them to come back every semester. This has turned into such a big thing now. I mean, it's really gained traction that I'm going to have to narrow it down to one day. So I'm changing this to Workforce Wednesdays. They're coming on Wednesdays only because that's all I can manage. Otherwise, they tie me up every day. But no, that has been a huge thing for the employers and for the students. It helps the students really get comfortable with asking questions and listening to the value and the benefits from each different company as they present. So I know we're running really close on time, so if there are, I'm just going to end there. But if you guys have any questions, be happy to talk to you afterwards or answer now, or if you have anything for anyone else.
Yeah, and that's just what I'd add before we open for questions. The new building has really generated a lot of interest and really allowed us to showcase our programs. Over 1,000 people so far this semester, 1,000 people. It's almost, we've got so much involvement, it's becoming a situation to handle. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have. So we'd certainly open it up to any questions. Oh, don't be shy.
What's your age group for the where the kids come in and get a hands-on storyline?
High school, typically. We can do it for any age group. I did a modified version of it for fourth graders not too long ago. It was modified. This started with a request from our CTC that's on site. During COVID, the eighth graders weren't able to come on campus to tour just before they did their ICAPs. And so they asked me, they're like, can you help us get the ninth graders back here on campus now since they missed it last year? So that's why we developed that. And then after we got through as many of those ninth graders as we possibly could, we just opened it back up to high school students. So.
We did it for the high school and middle school teachers and counselors too, and they were as excited as the students.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I think the college traditionally before COVID had what they called a kids college, which we had a lot of young kids on campus and exposed them to college. But since COVID, we've really focused on career pathways with that as an option, and it's showing some success. Yes?
So you mentioned the pipeline that looks like started like in fourth grade, right, all the way through to the reskilling. And I'm curious, it's like, what does a fourth grade program look like, and how you get them from fourth grade and keep them all the way to the reskilling? Like, how's that movement work?
So we didn't know, so we hired 2 science teachers. We hired 2 science teachers. Okay, so we have 2 award-winning science teachers, one that actually was a science teacher for 20 years and then 10 years as a building principal, so he's got administrative experience, and the other one had 33 years of science experience, because that's that final mile, right? So they actually engage with our K-12 partners all the way down to the teacher level. We certify the teacher, we introduce the BTU crew curriculum, and so they've got lessons plans and all the things that would go along with that.
So, so lesson plan is appropriate for a fourth grader, right?
Absolutely,
And then,
yeah.
But how do you keep that fourth grader engaged so that by the time they're graduating high school, that they're still in that pipeline? How do you, like, what's your plan to keep them in that pipeline?
So with our pilot program, I remember I mentioned that they use the data from their building. So we have a gateway to take energy use data, get it to the cloud, run it through the analytics, and make it available to the science teacher, okay? The students then, at age appropriate, they make recommendations for improving indoor air quality or improving energy efficiency and such, and then they get to watch that project being implemented, and then the next year they use the data to validate the efficacy of the program that they recommended. And so what we found is, and of course as we go into the middle and high school, then they get more substantial. So what we're finding, remember we launched that in 2018, so we've just had 3 years of that, you know, of that moving up. So that's been our experience so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to add to that, Kevin, like in Beloit, Kansas,
Yeah.
the students kept on that program. By the time they were in high school, they were helping with the summer maintenance program, and actually it got some return on investment on that, calculating green
Thank you
energy.
for egging me
Yeah.
on. So the other thing our science teacher said was there has to be a target. So he got the kids into the KidWin program. Is anybody familiar with the KidWin program? So that's a competition. So there's not as many districts in Missouri as there are in Kansas. So the kids actually have a project where they compete with wind turbines, little wind turbines, and they win prizes. And those Beloit students, the very first year, they won a trip to Houston to compete on a national level, and they ranked nationally. The same group of students also was in the NEED program, National Energy Education Development Program. That's another program that we involve the students in. And that same group, that same cohort of Beloit students won a trip to Washington, D.C. in June of 2019.
Wow, cool.
So 2 things to look up, KidWin and NEED, N-E-E-D. Got a question over here.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, kind of with the presentations, you're hearing a lot of motivation from the workforce, right? Employers that want students, like, you know, you have to cut down your days to Workforce Wednesdays, so I guess I'm curious to hear, I see the employers are on the late end investing in these students to me, and they're not on the front end.
Yeah.
And I know we have apprenticeships, but where's our target? Like, is anybody, I guess I like to think in that creative space, where are we getting these employers to invest quicker in these kids coming right into college? And I'm talking paying for them, so work for, you know, like that work service kind of thing. If you've got these kids in a pipeline, which is great, getting their interest, and if they're still continuing, I guess I don't see the dollars. A lot of companies have that if they want that. Are we doing any kind of networking to get them to actually pay for these kids? Because that's a motivation factor.
I can answer that.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a softball.
Yes, we are. I mean, we are, and we work with them. We bring them in. It's not hard to get the companies to pay for it, really. It isn't. Right now we have 4.5 million more job openings in the United States than we do people looking for work. And even of the people looking for work, there's a huge skills gap in between that number and that huge number of job openings. So they come to learn they're going to have to train their own, they're going to train their own people, fill their own pipeline. It's a little bit harder for Missouri and Kansas right now, because in Missouri and Kansas, especially the Missouri side, our unemployment rate's about 2.5%. And when you get into metropolitan area of St. Louis, Kansas City, their unemployment rate's down around 2%. So if you can find somebody that honestly wants to train to do these jobs, the employers are willing to pay. When we wrote our grant and started all this, we thought we would struggle to have companies to pay and have people standing in line wanting apprenticeships, and it's the exact opposite. And I think anybody here that's on the MOAMP grant will say the same. We thought we'd have people wanting their schooling paid for standing in line, and really it's the employers standing in line right now wanting people.
So there must be a gap in our, or where we need to hit the market is the marketing, the pay, possibly bonuses. But I also think Pathways is a
we get a lot of people,
Not explorers.
Amy will do like an industrial electrical maintenance boot camp, IM boot camp. And they'll come from companies and they'll do a customized training. And once we get some of those people on campus who thought they could never go to college before, and they really enjoy their boot camp, then they're more interested in becoming an apprentice. So, I mean, we pull from any place we possibly can to get people to do the training, and the employers pay for it.
More and more students are entering first contact with the community college through customs.
And can I ask one other thing? So you're talking about non-accredited and accredited. Are you guys creating a pathway? Because I always think people like want to be a bus driver, but maybe they want to go on and have their own business, and maybe they want to run their own company. So they would probably need more of a degree to do that. Are you taking those non-credits and applying them like to an AA, so like they could go in electives? Are we really fleshing out that part for students? So if they're in non-credit, they understand that that is still going to move you forward.
Through the
Yes.
IRCs, we, you know, if we've got an IRC required embedded into credit programs, then we can use those on the non-credit side to award that credit.
And
That's-
also, I might also add, engaging our full-time faculty on the credit side. They understand what the time requirements are, the objectives, the credential value. That is part of the non-credit training, to make that as a credit for prior learning. Yep, to build into a certificate or degree. Yep.
So,
And just to come full circle back, the point at which the employers start to engage with the students, even with my corporate engagement initiative on campus, we're inviting them in to speak to our high school students as well, the CTC side. So we bring our college students and our high school students together where in whichever program the employer wants to focus on. So the high schoolers are hearing that. Now they're already predisposed to, they're juniors and seniors in a skilled trade field already. However, it's giving them a leg up ahead of time. Then on like summer camps, things like that, we invite our employers to participate in our summer camps. So we had one this summer, Advanced Manufacturing Projects is what it was called, AM Camp. And every day an employer got to sponsor lunch, come in, sit with the students, and we're talking 12 to 16-year-olds. Actually, we had a couple 18-year-olds there. But so 12 to 18 years old, employers were having, you know, one-to-one with them, just small group time. They spent the whole lunch hour just visiting with them, and then, you know, gave them swag and all the things. So we're trying to bring them in at an earlier stage and start to develop that.
So I apologize for running us over just a few more minutes, but if you have any questions, we can hang around here a bit, or contact us at State Fair Community College. We'll always be glad to help you. So, thank you.